Hey, this is Pamela Schneider. I'm the retail editor for Blue Book Services, and this is the Produce Reporter Week in Review. Greg Johnson, our Director of Media Development. We've been watching quite a few stories this week, and one of them was a press release that came by from Food Mix, and it's about branded produce, something that I was just participated in a lively PMA town hall discussion about. Their research of 1,000 consumers showed that 68% of them would pay more for branded produce. And I find that fascinating. I mean, really?
That seems like a really good number.
It does seem like a really good number, and it does support a lot of the brands that are in there. Now, I want to know if their research dug into retail brands versus a Driscoll's, for example. I'm just going to pick on them because they're one of the biggest brands in produce. How many consumers know the difference between H-E-B's heirloom navels and, sun-kissed heirloom navels? I mean, I'm sure that they understand that there is a difference, but are they really going to stick around and dig into which one is which and which one is the marketer's brand and which one is the retailer's brand? A couple of other really interesting nuggets that I got from Food Mix out of the study was that 2/3 of millennials and Gen Z, so tomorrow's primary shoppers, because they represent about 1/3 of grocery dollars right now, they believe branded fresh produce is important, and 36% of the shoppers that they surveyed said they would pay 6 to 10% more for branded produce. That's a really interesting number in two ways. One of them is that that's only 1/3 of the shoppers. But the other one is almost 10% more for a branded produce experience. What do you think?
It seems like that number should be higher. When you're paying for a brand, you're paying for a promise of quality. And I would think if a consumer is really committed to buying branded produce because of that promise of quality, 6 to 10% is not very much. I mean, I would be willing to pay 50% more if I knew for a fact it was going to taste better and it wasn't going to expire fast. I mean, if you think about the variability of the produce department, that's something that the industry always struggles with. Certain commodities, for instance, tree fruit, you really have a high variance. And if consumers knew that they would have a better experience with that, they should be willing to pay more than 6 to 10% over not having that.
Yeah, the top 3 reasons that consumers identified wanting branded produce, like you mentioned, were quality, grown to higher standards, and freshness. And all of those seem like, yes, that would absolutely have to be, baseline for paying more for a brand. For me, like you mentioned, I would have to be some kind of flavor guarantee in that, especially in something like soft fruit. I think that's one of the strongest areas that we're seeing a lot of movement in the category is in, berries, for example. Back to Driscoll's again, a lot of people put a lot of stock into that brand promise from that one. And then into stone fruit. My local retailer like H-E-B, when they have a lot of own brand things, the H-E-B brand, but in stone fruit, they're going with Family Tree Farms for a lot of their promotional brands. Or Randall's, for example, I saw promoted Prima brand peaches. So there's a lot of movement in this category, and I'm sure a lot of interest in from the produce industry into digging more into this study and getting some more numbers out of it.
Yeah, another thing that I always pay attention to is generational buying, and the perception always is that younger consumers are less interested in these brands, and the studies show that that's actually the opposite, and that just under half of Gen X and Boomers indicated a preference for brand affinity, whereas 2/3 of millennials and Gen Z. And I would love to dig into the numbers more and maybe find out why that is. I mean, anecdotally, I know how I shop and what I care about. And I have a couple of Gen Z consumers here who aren't buying with their own money. So their perceptions are not quite as important with me when it comes to food as when you're spending your own money, which millennials, they mostly are. They're the ones with little kids now. It's not Gen X.
Yeah, I've got one of those. Well, I mean, I got one.
More so, yes, you can still be a Gen X and have little kids.
But I've got one of those Gen Z shoppers in there, and he is incredibly brand sensitive right now. And I believe that part of that is that he's not shopping with his own money. He's just starting to make his own money refereeing soccer, but for now, he's not shopping with his own money. So as we look into the lifestyle generational how we spend, will they clamp down and look more toward value depending on what's going on with their economic situation? Or will they stay brand loyal? All of this stuff is fascinating, and I'm sure that people want to dig into this study. So it was really interesting to take a look at.
Yeah, I'm glad we had it. And I do think it's the beginning of us looking into that more.
I think the industry is incredibly interested in debating, in discourse, in just a lot of talk about the value of brands and what the brand promise is for this. Because we're not just going to slap a name on something and call it our own. That's not how this is going to work. Going into, perhaps a lot of inflationary, issues that are going on. A lot of the economy is a little shaky right now, and I think we're just getting into some of the effects of long-term pandemic effects on inflation, especially. So, how important is branding? Like Anna Marie said a couple of weeks ago, when we're not going to be able to promote on price, will we be able to promote on brand? And on quality. These are things that retailers are going to have to be looking at, because it doesn't seem like going into the new year and into the spring that there will be a lot of hot deals to be had in any commodity. So really important stuff. Another thing that we're looking into, especially in the latest issue of Produce Blueprints magazine, is packaging. We've got an applied technology feature written by Richard Smoley about packaging. And of course, this is something I love to dig into. And we've had a couple of stories run in the Produce Reporter. And one of them was that widely recyclable often isn't. And that is tagging along with a new challenge that the berry companies have put forth in this Think Beyond Plastic Agricultural Plastics Innovation Challenge. So we've got some movement here on trying to make sure that plastic packaging in the produce department is actually widely recyclable, not just recyclable. It's the difference between practical and practicable. It's practicable to go ahead and ride a hot air balloon to school, but it's not practical in the long run.
No, and I like the fact that a lot of the well-known berry companies have signed up and partnered in this. We have not only Driscoll, which we already mentioned, but Anna Berries, Cal Giant, Gempack, Good Farms, Nature Ripe are all involved in this. And so that's really some people with heavy investments in this area, both, strawberries especially. Yeah, I think it shows that the industry is serious about looking for solutions and treating consumer sentiment as serious and not just something that people are saying and not doing. And we've talked about recycling before, and it can be a mystery. And just because it's recyclable doesn't mean it's recycled.
Right, and a lot of the innovation that's going on in the category is looking toward corrugated, which has its own problems. I mean, it's a great solution. It is not plastic. If you are looking for something that is not plastic, corrugated is a solution. But there's a lot of debate on whether or not it's a better solution than plastic, because all of the research that went into creating plastic berry packaging actually, it provides so many benefits. The air movement around the berries, the shelf life, the stability, the clamshell, I mean, the keeping it at the right moisture and right temperature, and all of that.
At the consumer level, being able to see the product is so critical. And when we moved away from those green tubs where you couldn't see the berries to clamshells where you could see them all, I really think that helped the category a lot, because people now had the confidence they could look at it and see, I can see all these berries look good. I can eat them all without them going bad in my fridge.
Right.
And that's something that corrugated is going to have trouble with. That seems to me to be one area where consumers may be saying one thing, but I don't think they're going to buy that way.
Yeah, we cannot discount what plastic clamshells have done for the berry category. We have gone from an occasional treat to a regular shop. I mean, they would not be America's favorite fruit if they did not have that packaging that provides so many benefits and has done so much for the category. So they have to be careful in how we're innovating. We have to find a way to balance all of these needs. So I love the Innovation Challenge. They've got until the end of November to send in submissions for this, and hopefully we will find some good stuff. It kind of feels a little bit like Shark Tank for berry packaging, perhaps. I don't know. We'll see what they come up with. I think that's, and then one other note while we've still got your attention, and we're just going to have to keep adding it to the tracker. Grub Market bought another company. They bought another one.
Yeah, they did. And they're not buying just these dinky companies that no one's ever heard of. This is a over 100-year-old Los Angeles wholesaler, Shapiro Gilman Chandler, that is extremely well known. And it's a huge acquisition. And they're not stopping. They're even starting to get to the point where the CEO was teasing in social media that be on the lookout for another acquisition this week.
Yeah, you might want to follow him.
We were.
Yeah, I know. We do follow. We are keeping track of it. The Grub Market domination map is coming soon to the Produce Reporter. But until then, well, you know, we have to flex our swag here. We got branded swag. I've got my DMA Solutions sent me a lovely Yeti cup, and you've got yours too. So we're going to be watching.
Hometown Kansas City wholesaler, Liberty Fruit.
Well, I'm just looking forward to be stickering this from all my stickers from the Organic Produce Summit. It was ripe for picking stickers there at all of those booths. So that was a lot of fun. I'm watching the men's qualifier. Unfortunately, I can't watch it in person here in Austin because my kids got a school thing.
That is a damn shame.
That is a damn shame because I would be right there. I had tickets in cart ready to go, and we can't, unfortunately. So I'll have to watch it from home like everyone else.
Yeah, in Kansas City, we shot our load already with this summer when we had the Gold Cup here for 3 matches. So right now we're not on the qualifier list, but maybe they haven't all been set yet.
I know, maybe the USA will get to go to the World Cup.
All right.
Nice. Until then, that's it for the Produce Reporter Weekend Review. If you are not getting the Produce Reporter newsletter, you need to go to producebluebook.com and sign up. I've got my Halloween flare too. Target little, look, it's like an orange and an apple and a pear. And I think it's supposed to light up, but the batteries were already dead when I bought it. And then
That's not a pumpkin?
No, it's berry pumpkins. Yeah. They even have watermelons and all kinds of stuff. I didn't buy all of them. And shockingly, I didn't buy all of them.